Uh, Following are the different key user extensibility scenarios available in S4HANA, and I'll explain each and every scenario in detail. Now, what are the what are the available extensibility options in S4HANA, you may ask? So the available extensibility options are, you have the in-app extensibility and the side-by-side extensibility. So in-app extensibility are means provided by SAP that allows you to extend applications on S4HANA. So it allows you to customize and adapt SAP software for specific purposes. You can extend the functional scope of an application in various ways, ranging from UI changes to custom fields and logic, data model changes, and many more. You can do all these things. Who is now in-app extensibility targeted to? So in-app extensibility is it is targeted towards a business user or a key user, and hence it is also known as key user extensibility, and hence that is the reason why it is called key user extensibility. Now, whereas side-by-side extensibility, it enables you to integrate APIs from the SAP system to build external application, say some Java application or something, which you can you can build some native Java applications for mobile, etc. So this is what is a side-by-side extensibility is, and you could deploy it on the SAP Business Technology Platform. So you can either expose standard APIs or create custom business objects based on your requirement. So the list of standard APIs, all the available APIs are available in the API Hub. And and this session is mostly pointed towards the key user extensibility. So side by side is not in the scope of this session. So let me get into why and what was the motivation for a new extensibility concept in the first place. So the motivation for introducing the extensibility concept comes from the pain points that the present while performing the present classical extensibility, you may find difficulties while upgrading. That is one of the main reasons. So as of today, custom code development and extensions means that standard code needs to be modified, and lack of APIs while calling extension SAP code. While this call is made from a custom application. Now, updating to a later release means that a major major adaptation has to be done in customer or partner code side, so that the applications remain stable post update, and this takes a lot of time, and this delays the upgrade. So all of this led to the introduction of the new extensibility concept in S4HANA. So these are added by the introduction of custom fields and logic, custom analytics and forms, an option to edit business logic via cloud bodies, and all of these are done via a cloud editor. So this means that all the changes will be web-based and will be done via Fiori Launchpad. Now, all extensions will be done via stable extension points that will be available, and APIs, which means that the system will not face issues after upgrade. So this means that after you do any of this user changes via extension points or available APIs, it won't affect your system even after you upgrade. So your API, your extension will remain the same. And this is unlike the classic extensions. It's also worth pointing out that key user extensibility is not just Fiori extensibility. That is, it's a comprehensive set of tools, platforms, and methodologies, to allow customers to immediately benefit from them. Now, another motivation for introducing this is basically the decoupling. So what is this decoupling? Let me get into detail. So, and how does this benefit from the current model? So application softwares are always upgraded and patched, right? And new innovations are also introduced each and every release. So this means that if any application is, any existing application is modified based on a customer need, a lot has to be thought about, while upgrading this. So this means that it is almost certain that a timely upgrade is blocked, and customer miss out on patches or updates or whatever that is provided by SAP, and lots of new features also. So this was the reason why a decoupled approach for extensions were introduced. That is, these extensions are loosely coupled from the standard code. So it will always lie on top of standard code so that the standard code is not touched. Yeah, and they does not block upgrades, and they continue to work even after an upgrade. So this means that if someone on S4 follows the new extensibility concept, which follows a modification-free and clash-free approach of extensions using the whitelisted APIs, so that and the extension points, I would say. So that means that you would be able to comply with the zero downtime policies and principles, so that even while SAP is upgrading, nothing would happen to the system. So as you can see in the attached image here, right, both in-app and side-by-side extensibility lies on top of the standard code, and this follows a decoupled approach. So yeah. Now, how does this empower a key user? So if you look at the graph here, right, on the bottom left of this image, so a key user or a business expert or an implementation consultant, whatever, they lies on the bottom left of this particular graph. And that means that they look for a solution that is light on code and minimal on feature richness, and they themselves can perform on the UI. So these should be simple tasks that can be performed easily if you're a key user. So they should be stable and foolproof, because a key user won't be that technically inclined as a developer would be, because they would be more inclined towards the functional side. And it should also be more in line with what you see is what you get. That is, it should be instantly testable. And the entry barrier should be low. That is, it should not be too high on the technical side as compared to what you see on the top right. That is for a developer. And this is what a developer always expects, right? So they will be comfortable in creating, changing complex business logic. They would also need a rich, modern ID, including debugging, code changes, quality checks, all this, code checks, etc. And it should also be supporting big projects. So that is what a developer would want compared to business expert or implementation consultant or a key user. So how are these transferred to a key user who would mostly be part of an LOB who just drives the implementation? So extensibility tools are open to business departments who should be able to perform and apply the extensibility tasks without without disrupting any other tasks or without any risk. So specifically, this is specifically for UI adaptations, custom fields and tables, custom analytics and forms, and custom business logic. And it also talks about a cloud web editor, and I will show you it subsequently during the call. So now we talk about the extensibility spectrum. So it provides you the functional scope of in-app extensibility. So you will be able to create custom reports or queries, etc. You can create custom forms by importing standard forms. You could create custom fields and logic. You could create custom business object, custom UIs for your custom application, etc. So yeah. So now now let me get into the scenarios. So here you can see all the changes that you can perform. That you perform will be added as a part of the custom UI. So all your changes that you do here, it won't affect this layer. It will be added as a custom UI here, right? And it will be added on top of the Fiori Launchpad. Now, custom fields and custom business object will be exposed as extensions of standard OData or new OData on top of the ABAP CDS views. You can create custom UIs by extending existing applications, by adding custom fields, or create new applications based on OData services exposed. You can deploy it on BTP and add the application based onto the Fiori UI. So all tutorials for this are available on OpenSAP and developers.sap.com. And I have linked some of them towards the end of the slide as well. Now let's get into the overview of the different extensibility options available for a key user. So these are the availability of extensions available for a key user. And let me get into it one by one. So the first one is UI flexibility. So what does UI flexibility talk about? So basically, these are simple tasks that you can perform on the UI, which includes, adding a new field or hiding an existing field, or add a new group to your screen, hide groups, etc. You could also rename labels. You could just directly go to any label and just rename it according to your specific nomenclature, whatever. And yeah, you can combine multiple fields and add it to a single group, or you could just split an existing group into multiple field groups, etc. And you can define new filter, table variants. All these things can be done as part of the UI flexibility. And the next thing is custom field. So here I have told that you can add a new field. So where does this new field come from? So in order for a field to be added to a screen, you would need to create a field. So that is where the custom field comes in picture. So there is an app known as Custom Fields app on the Fiori UI. So you go to the custom field. Now, before I talk anything more about this, if any of you have experienced in-app extensibility before, you may respond in chat. Just so that we could, I mean, just so that we could know who all have prior experience of key user extensibility. You can reply in the chat.
And just a question, Prashant, just for the customers in the call, have any of you created these kind of customer fields in your systems? Have you used it? Just Prashant is keen to have your experience if any of you have created custom fields to extend the SAP core logic.
Yeah.
Anyone, you can just unmute and answer also, it's fine.
Yeah, this is Ashwin from Mindset. Yeah, we have used custom fields and logic in extending managed bank accounts,
Okay.
where we have had added more fields into the header, and we have leveraged this framework to do extensions to our standard applications.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
thanks,
great.
Ashwin.
And one difficulty what we faced is how do we validate these custom fields? And we saw there are a lot of bodies given for managed bank accounts, but maybe it's just that it could be our release, which we were running on 1809, maybe was missing some nodes where there were no validations happening on these custom fields, which we added via these custom fields and logic. And after we got a note from SAP, then those bodies got it, started triggering. Then we were able to add all those validations on for all these custom fields, and we were able to push back those error messages onto the application. This and one major advantage of using this is we need not to do carry this information and save. Everything is done by the framework itself. So that is one good point, that we need not to write any code to persist these custom fields into the master data. It was all taken care where data was flowing from top to bottom already, since we leverage this framework.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you for the feedback.
Thanks, Ashwin.
Yeah. Okay. Then I believe I can continue.
Ashwin, we'll answer your question with regards to why it not in a short while, because we need to understand the specific context. We'll connect with you. But yes, thanks for your feedback on your experience of using this framework.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Shiva. Thank you. Yeah. So let me continue. So now let me just take the example which Ashwin gave for explaining this. So now you can see that there is an option to create a custom field here. So Ashwin have said that he have used this in an application that is related to banking. So while creating your field, you will get an option to add a business context. So if it is related to banking, in this dropdown, you will be able to select that application, that business context. And then after that, you will be able to add a label, add what type of tooltip that you want to get, and what is the type of the field. Is it a text? Is it a checkbox? etc. All these things you can add, and you could give the length also. Now, what does this mean is that after after you add the business context, you could directly go to your app. So here you can see it's a sales order. So if I have added sales order as the business context, I could just directly go to the sales order app, and I could add that field to the sales order application. And then once that field is added, how do you fill that field? That I will be explaining here. I will be explaining in another slide. Or maybe I can explain it now itself. So how do you add that field here? So there is something known as cloud body, which about which Ashwin have already explained. So cloud body is something that is available as part of key user extensibility. So there are a set of bodies that have released so that you can consume on the cloud. So if you think about say a sales order, there is already a cloud body for sales order header and item available. And what you do, you open that body and you add this whatever whatever fields that or whatever value that you want to fill to that newly added field during runtime, and you can populate it. It's just that so that how it would appear is that your custom field, it will be appearing as part of the standard structure for sales order, so that you can fill it at runtime. And this is how it'll be filled. And it will be added as part of the standard CDS view and auditor services as a custom field itself. And it will be having this name YY1 and whatever name that you give. This is how it will be appearing. So the next option is custom business object. So a custom business object is a custom application that you can create using key user extensibility. So it is a custom application which have its own nodes. You can add sub nodes and all these things. You can add actions to it. You can add determinations and validations. So that is, you can add after modification logic and before save logic to the application. And all this logic you can add in the cloud ABAP editor, as I've told. And there is an option also to perform trace. They're also available. So what happens when you publish a business object? This will create a custom CDS view in the background. And you can publish that. You can go to the IWFND maintain service, go there, activate that CDS view, and then use that CDS view as OData in your custom applications. You can do that. Or you can directly, you can use that. The directly using of business object on the Fiori UI is actually restricted to S4HANA Cloud. It's not available for S4HANA. I was about to make that point. Sorry. Now the custom business logic, and this is how the cloud ABAP editor would look like. You will be able to add a draft logic, and you will be able to test it using this tool. And how the draft logic is published for your generic use, you save it and you publish the draft logic, so that it will be you will be able to use it for productive purpose. It also has a syntax check, and there is no syntax check button as per se, but you will be able to see your errors here highlighted in red. It will be highlighting that, and there is this code completion option also available. By doing a control space, you will be able to do that. And one more thing that is need to be pointed out is that this works on the newly released RESTful ABAP programming framework, so that lots of legacy ABAP statements are obsolete here, so you won't be able to use that. So for that, you can refer to the RESTful ABAP programming guidelines that you can refer to. Another one is the analytics extensibility KPI design. So here, what you'll find is that you will be finding a list of SAP delivered KPIs. You could copy that and you could adjust them based on your need. You can define new drill downs. You can analyze the KPIs to better understand your business situation. You can also apply filters to narrow down your area of interest. You can save the filtered analysis to launch the same in a later point of time. You can define associations between KPIs, etc. All these things are possible in the KPI design application. Another option is to define custom analytical queries. So you could use an existing SAP analytical data source, or you can create a custom CDS view of type cube and use it as a source for creating a custom analytical query. And you can add or remove custom field. You can again add filters, remove filters, create parameters to read values from other users, etc. You can also create calculated or restricted or converted measures. All these things you can do. And how is the preview done? There will be a button to preview the results by executing the reports. These things you can do. And the next thing is custom CDS views. So similar to business logic, I mean, with the custom business object, there is an application known as custom CDS views, wherein you can go in and create custom CDS views by combining standard delivered CDS views, that is the VDM CDS views available, and you can preview the available data sources. Where you can choose a primary data source, you can add one or more associated data source according to your needs, you can perform changes on properties, etc. You can create calculated fields such as arithmetic calculations, case statements, conversions. All those things are available on the tool itself. And you can display the parameters of the selected data sources if they contain any such entries. Also, you are also able to view the data of the standard CDS views from this. There is an option to preview data also. And there is something known as custom reusable elements too. So custom reusable elements actually act like a static method in your standard ABAP terminology. So therein, it will be a single piece of code wherein you can create your own custom code library, which you can reuse across your logics. You can reuse it in your custom business object. You can also reuse it in your cloud bodies. And yeah, and so that, for example, you can define a particular piece of code that says, do this action. For example, fetch something, fetch this particular data from a table, and then modify it so that it could be suited for your particular business, so that it returns that particular value. You can reuse that code anywhere. As I said, maybe in your custom business object or your cloud body. And another thing is custom code list. So this acts like your data, your field values in your data element. So you can specify your custom code values. So for example, if you have, if I take, say, release status, so you can give multiple release status, right? You can say to be released, released, not released, rejected. You can do all those. I mean, you can list all those things and add it to your custom code list so that you can use it in your code. And this is tracing. So tracing is related to custom business object. So it can be used to see which determinations, validations, actions, all of this are performed by the custom business object. You will also be able to trace values of the input, output, changing parameters, all those things of the business object. You can create a new trace. You will be able to select any name and define the properties. You can also start and stop the trace. But this is specifically to your custom business objects. And custom CDS view or data scenario. So as I told, every custom CDS view that you create, you can generate an OData out of it, and you can use it as your, you can use it in your, say, side-by-side applications, etc. This can be done. And there is something known as the extensibility inventory application. You will be able to see all your all your key extensibility items that you have created in your system, and you could, and this gives you a holistic view of whatever that you've created. That is there in the extensibility inventory application. Now let me get into the system and show you some of these objects, and I'll be giving an hands-on of that. Let me just log into the system. So I have this system. So before I get into the demo, if you have any questions, you can ask.
Yeah, Prashant, Ashwin here.
Yeah.
So far, what we have done is we do extend views, and that's what we have done so far to add, projecting more fields. It could be an analytical application or transactional or any other types. That's what we have done. Extending the views at various levels and projecting that information to the topmost consumption view, and then we project that onto the application. Is there any standard guideline that we have to use these applications to do those kind of extensions or enhancements, or we can still go ahead and do, directly we find out what views are getting called and we start extending them at different layers? Is there any standard guidelines or recommended approach? What is the preferred one, Prashant?
So there is this list of 5 golden rules for before you think about extensibility. It's available. So I can just give you that. I can just attach in the chat. Maybe you can follow that. So that gives you the recommended approach on how to proceed with extensibility when you are on an on-premise system. Yeah.
Thanks.
Prashant, there are a few questions on the chat. Just reading it out for you. If someone wants to create new reports or dashboards that can be part of home screen of a user, how can it be done? Agree, it is not extensions per se, it's the initial Fiori part as well. So if I want to have a new report or a dashboard created, how can I add it to the, is it possible to add it to the Fiori homepage?
As for S/4HANA, it is not possible on premise, but in S/4HANA Cloud, it is possible.
No, the customers here are not known as cloud, so
yeah,
on-premise would talk only about on-premise.
So as of on-premise, it's not possible.
So Fiori
it's not possible to add on to the home screen tile. It's not possible.
Even the apps cannot be added.
Custom app, whatever custom applications that are created, it cannot be added. Abhijit, correct me if I'm wrong here.
Okay, so if we, sorry, Abhijit.
Yeah, that's correct.
If we already have multiple Z programs that were developed and used when we were in ECC, and now we have migrated to S/4HANA, what is the best way to migrate those programs? How can SAP help? Not sure whether it is part of.
If you are on-premise, I think you can continue to use that applications. But migrating to S/4HANA Cloud, I mean, Fiori, no, I don't think it.
And can we customize the home screen for a specific role, including standard SAP functionality and some non-SAP functionalities? Can I have a home screen with some non-SAP functionalities?
Could you elaborate on more on that non-SAP functionality?
Mostly it might again be the Z apps, custom apps.
I don't think it is. No, it's not possible in S/4HANA on-premise.
Okay,
you
so
will have to stick with the standard.
So some questions, if we are not sure, then we will come back later. Is it fine? Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the main question so far is, can I have the custom app in my S/4HANA Fiori homepage? That's it.
Yeah. That is not possible really. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Are there any further questions? If not, I will continue with the demo. That's fine. Okay, let me get into the screen. So this is how the custom applications would look like. So you will be able to see your custom fields and logic app. This is the custom business objects app, the custom reusable elements app, and this is the custom CDs views app. So let me get into the custom fields and logic app straight away. So yeah. So here you can see that there are a list of multiple custom fields created here. So which are created on many dates. Let me show you how the pop-up and how that business context that comes into play. So let me add a new field here and let me choose the business context purchasing. So let me search for purchasing. Let me select purchasing document. So now what this means is that this business field will be appearing when you select this new field that I've added, it will be appearing in the create purchasing document app when I go there. So let me just give any label. Let me just change the keyboard here to English US. Just demo. And I will select the type as text. And as you can see, these are the different available custom field types. It can be a checkbox, code list, date, email. It can be even an association to an existing business object, all these things. So I'll select text here, and I've given the length of, like, say 20. Let me create and edit this. So let this load. So here, once it is loaded, you will be able to see this tab UI and reports. So what this means is that you can define the usage for any particular field in a list of applications. So since I've selected purchasing, you will be able to see all the UIs and reports under purchasing where this can be added. So let me just select the manage purchase order app and all these things so that it could be used there. Purchase order, I'll just enable it across all purchase order applications. And yeah, I think that should be it. Yes, something missing. Yeah, that would be it. So that is added, and I will save this now. So let me save this. And upon saving, you will see that the publish button is enabled. So I will publish this. So this publishing would generally take some time. So while it is being published, let me go to the custom logic application. So this is where the cloud bodies can be added. So let me go back and let me show you how that is created. So if I click on create, again, as you saw in the custom fields app, you will be able to see a business context. You can select that business context. Let me select purchasing again. Purchase. Yeah, here you have purchase order. Okay, let me select it one by one. So procurement, you have purchasing document and purchasing document item. I can select purchasing document and I can give a body description. Again, this is also auto-populated. You can select modification of purchase order header. You can give an implementation description as well. INDUS demo. And I will click on create. Okay, there is already a body that is created for modification of purchase order. So I can edit that and add my changes there. So let me just get into that. So here you can see there was this field that I've added previously, ZZ1 extension. So let me just go back and see if the field that I've newly added is published. If it is published, I can add that to here. If not, I will just stick with that and show you. So this is not yet published, the INDUS demo, but you can see that there is this field ZZ extension underscore, which was created previously. So if I go to custom logic again, and if I get into that, you can see that there is this description that is given custom extension field. Now, how does this gets populated to a purchase order? Let me log into the productive system. Let me log into the test system now. Just exit from here and I'll log into the test system. So this is client 100. And, okay, now let me go to purchase order processing. Okay. I have managed purchase orders. We'll wait while it is being loaded. Yeah, there is some issue with the application. Let me just refresh this. Yeah, there is some dump with the application. Let me just check the sales order application. In the meantime, something was added to sales order also. I'll just go to sales order processing. And let me just go to sales orders. And it's sales orders. I click on go. Yeah, I will select one of the sales orders. In the meantime, I will okay. In the meantime, let me go back to the extension system. I'll just close this and check for other applications where this is added. Yeah, let me go back. Yeah. Let me go to custom fields and logic once again. Yeah, now that this is published, let me just try to add it here. Also, let me just check if there is any other applications which we can check. You have sales order header that is there. So we can check that by logging into that system. But in the meantime, let me add this newly created field as part of this ZZ extension. Let me just try that. So I'll get into this and let me click on create draft. So if you want to edit this, you will have to click on create draft again. So once I do that, you will be able to edit this. So now if I go here, paste this, and if I search for, if I click on Control Plus, you can see that all your fields will be appearing. And you can also see the INDUS demo PDH, that field also appears. So let me just add this and say, let me give some name, custom INDUS demo. And you can see that as soon as I clicked on enter, the syntax error was gone. And I can save this draft and I'll be able to publish this. And this would be ready to be used. Let me just try going into the demo system once, I mean, test system once again and check if the dump is solved. If not, I will just show you how to add that UI in some other application. Unfortunately, it was dumping. Sorry for that. So let me close this and let me get into the demo system. I mean, the test system. Okay. Let me just try to go to that purchase order application once again. See if it is demoing. I mean, see if it is dumping. If not, I will. Okay, have purchase order processing. And go to manage purchase orders once again. Hopefully it doesn't dump this time. Yeah, it's not dumping anymore. So let me just get into the purchase order. So we are getting into the purchase order and let this load. And just wait until the order is loaded. Just select another purchase order. It's taking longer than usual time to load. Let me refresh this once. That helps. Check if that dump is still there in the backend. Now it's loaded now. Okay. So now if I click on edit here, you can have a look at this added field, the extension field. You will see that it is automatically getting populated. But yeah, unfortunately, the system is slow. So just bear with us here. Yeah, the system is a bit slow. In the meantime, I'll just create a duplicate screen wherein I can show you how the extension is, so that this loads in the backend, in the background. Yeah. Let this load in the background. We will. Yeah, it's loaded. So now you can see that whatever that we added, the custom extension field, it was there. So this is actually picked up from the body directly, and it is filled. You're not seeing the INDUS group because it was not added to the screen. So I can show you that also. So let me click on cancel now. So if that field is published, you will be able to add it here also. So since the system is slow, I hope it will be added by now. So let me go back to edit display mode here. And let's try to, yeah. So now what you do is that you click on your test and you click on Api Kpi. So this opens up your ability to edit the screen fields. Yeah, now you can see that you can just click on any field, you can move around the fields, you can even rename it, so all those things. So let me just right click and add a new field here. Oh, I'll just click here and I'll let that option to, yeah. Just click here and I'll wait for that pop-up to appear. And I will click on add field. So here, this will give me all the available fields that I can add. So the INDUS field is also, yeah, here you can see the INDUS demo field is also available now. I'll click on OK so that that field is added. So that field is added now. I can click on save as. I can click on save and exit. So now that field is added as part of the screen. Now let me just reload this once again so that we can see if the whatever logic that we have entered in the body is populated. Just hope this loads faster now. You can see that that newly added field is retained on the screen now. We'll just wait for this to be loaded. And if I click on edit, yeah, you can see that the data is picked up from the body we've implemented. The custom interest demo also appears. So now that you say, once you save your purchase order, this will be retained onto your purchase order. I'm not saving that as of now. I'll just click on cancel. So this is how you add your custom field and how it is updated to your standard scenario via a custom body. This is how you do it. Now let me go back to my test system and show you what a custom business object looks like. So since this is taking too much time, creation of new field, I'll just go and show you some an existing custom business object, which is already there, which was already created. So let me go back to my test system. And I'll directly open the custom business object set. So I will get into custom business objects. And here you can see that there are already some custom business objects created and published. I will select the first one, ZZ Consultant. And you can see that here there is a checkbox for determination and validation. So once you check this, you will be able to add your after modification and before save logic. Here is the check for service generation. So if you enable this, then a corresponding OData can also be generated. Here is where you can say whether it can be associated or not. You could add system administrative data like created on, changed on, all those fields, and it will be appearing automatically when you do that. And this is an option to add change documents. So if you go to nodes, here you can see that this already has a field known as node known as consultant. You can actually add subnodes, delete subnodes. You have all those options, and this has these many number of fields. Like you have ID, first name, last name, all these fields are there, and this is where you can add the after modification before save logic. So if I get into it, the screen looks very similar to how you saw for the your cloud body screen. So before I get into how the CDS view would look like in the backend, I'll just touch upon the custom reusable code also. So let me get into custom fields and logic, and let me go to the I meant custom reusable element. So let me get into custom reusable element. So as I said, a custom reusable element is a custom code library which you can reuse anywhere. So let me get into this ZZ1 country code and what does that have? So it has a method ID known as get country code. So if you look inside this, it has a simple logic to fetch India as a country. So how do you use this? So let me go back to the business object that I just showed. Let me add it in that business object. So I will go to the custom business object. I'll open this application and let me go to logic. I'll just go to before save. Let me go to after modification and let me create a draft. And let me just check for this ZZ. You can see that the country code appears here, but then how do you use it? As I told, you can use it as a static method. So you do that and you do a control space and you will be getting the method that is implemented, get country code. So if it has any importing parameter, you pass that. And if it, and you export the parameter that you import it here. And if I do a shift entry, let me just get the code completion also. If I do a shift enter, you will be able to get all the importing, all the code completion parameters also, so that you can use it in your code. So it's like if you, in your custom business logic, if you want to retrieve that particular country specifically, you could do this and you could implement this. So I'll delete this draft for now. And now let me go to the backend system and show you how the custom CDS view of this particular business object would look like. So let me go to client 400 and let me go to maintain service, IWFND maintain service. And if I scroll down to the bottom, because its technical service name starts with ZigZ. If I scroll to the bottom, you can see that this is the CDS view for Z consultant. So I have already registered this, so I'll be able to launch it on the browser. So let me open the gateway client and let me try to execute this. So here you will be able to get your gate service as well, so that you can use it in your custom application. So this is how you generate your CDS view for your custom business object. Now going to the custom CDS view app itself. So you have this app for custom CDS view also. So you go back and you go to custom CDS view. So as I told, you can view your data, and you can also view, you can also create custom CDS view. So if I select any of the standard views, I can drill down into it, and then there is an option to preview data. So since this is a development client, I'm not sure if it will be having data, but this is how you do it. So if it is having data, you'll be able to preview it. I'm not logging into the test client because it's really slow. So I'll just show it here. And for a custom CDS view, let me go into one of the custom CDS view which is already created. So here you can see that you have this custom business view for Z consultant. As you can see that this origin is custom business object. So for the custom business object created, it in turn creates a custom CDS view in the backend, and you can see that here. But just that you will have to go to IWFND maintain service and enable it so that you can use it as a OData service. Now let me select one of the CDS view which is activated here. So let me go back to maintain service, and we have the sales org CDS, which is
Prashant,
yeah.
While we pick the custom CDS view, can you just check with the customers if anyone has created custom CDS views and have also exposed it and have been creating applications using that?
Yeah, sure. So have anyone used custom CDS views for creating any side-by-side applications before?
Has anyone created custom CDS views, or even has anyone created custom side-by-side extensions or applications using BTP or SAP, any of the applications?
Okay.
You can continue. In case someone responds on chat, I'll ping you, Prashant.
Yeah, sure. So let me check. Some of you have custom CDS demo. Yeah, you have this CDS view which is published already. So let me just open this custom CDS demo. So there, what it does is that here you can, it has the sales order, sales document as the primary data source. So how do you add your data source? You get into, so I've just clicked on it. Yeah, this is again slowed down. Just duplicate this tab. So that I can show it in display mode. Yeah, I think it started okay. Yeah, I will open it in display mode. That will be better. So I will open it in display mode until it opens, so that I can show you the remaining properties as well. So let me scroll down further and open the application. Yeah, you have the custom CDS view here. And here you can see that the primary data source is sales document and the associated data source is sales document type. So basically you can click on edit and you will get an option here to add it, which I'll be showing once the edit mode is enabled. And once that is done, you can come here and you can select what all fields that you want. You can select the fields from both the tables. If you have multiple tables, like if you have more than 2 tables, you can select data from there as well. You can define your field properties here. You can specify aggregations and semantics, all these things here. You can add custom parameters here, and you can define filters also here. So once all that is done, you can publish your CDS view. So once that is published, yeah, this is now enabled. So let me just show you how you can add. So if I click on add, you will be able to get an option to add associated data source, or you can replace your primary data source. So if I click on add, you will get an option to add any data source that you want. You can select something that is related to your sales order, or you can select anything else. Let me try to add something here. I hope it doesn't slow this down. So yeah, you can select any of this and just select it, and you can click on add, and it will appear here in your UI. And once that is done, you can go to field selection, and then you can just select and add it to this side by just clicking on the plus. You can just select something and you can just click on plus and it will be appearing here. So that is there, and here you can define the field properties. So if you want to say that it's of this particular type, you can do that and it will be appearing. So this is more or less like you can define specific annotations for your field. And this is where you can add parameters. And this is where you can add filters. So you can edit and add any filter formula here. So you will be getting a small kind of an editor where you can add any properties. You can select your field from this dropdown, whatever that is there, corresponding to your selected primary data source and secondary data source, and you can add those fields here. One more thing to be noted is that here you can see that these are some of the custom fields which were added to sales document. All of those custom fields will also appear here. So that is one advantage of adding a custom field to a standard scenario. You will be able to use it across your standard OData, wherever it is being used. So now once that is published, how do you use the data? I mean, how do you use it as an OData? You go back to your development system again, you go to IWFND maintain service, you add the service from the screen. So since it is already added, you can see it here. So if I scroll down to the bottom, you will be able to see that here, the custom demo CDS, and I can test it via gateway client also, or I can call it via browser too. So let me just copy this and call this via browser now. For a change, let me scroll this down and let me just expand this. If I replace it with this particular, and if I let's say format XML, you will be able to see that service here. Yeah, so you can reuse it, and you can use the service, and you can develop your custom side-by-side application using this. That's also possible. So that is all about CDS view. Now let me go back to the system again and show you what is missing. So now what I've missed was custom code list. So again, I'll go to custom reusable elements and I'll go to custom code list. So as I said, this is kind of similar to your data element field values. So here you can see you have items, 2 items defined here, India and US. You can define any number of items and you can release it. The only thing that you would need to note that you need to make any changes once you release your production. For updating it, you will have to come back here. You need to edit this and you need to add it and then republish it again. Otherwise, once it goes into your productive system, you won't be able to change it. So each and every time you need to make sure that you have your values ready here before you release it to your production. So that is about custom code list. And as you said, you can reuse this in your business logic as well. Be it custom business object, be it cloud body, you would be able to reuse it in both the sites. Yeah, so the next thing what is missing would be custom analytical queries. So let me go to that. So analysis parts frame. Yeah, you have KPI design, and I'll just go to custom analytical queries first before I come to KPIs and reports. So here you can create a custom analytical queries by either by copying standard objects or using your CDS views as data source. So if I just search for CDS views which I've created with ZZ, you can see that these are some of the CDS views which were created by marking it as a cube so that it could be used in your custom analytical queries. And you can create your custom analytical queries. Let me just search for some set custom analytical queries which are already created. Yeah, this is published. I can get into that, and you can see that this is where you define all your fields, and you can select any field and you can define any field. You can display the fields here, and you can also define filters. And once that is done, you can also preview the data of how it would look like. So I just clicked on preview. You won't be seeing any data here since this is development system, but yeah, so you could just drag and drop your dimensions here to see to add multiple fields here. So once you publish it, it will be available in your test client. You can do the same thing in your test client by going to your custom CDS, going to your custom analytical query so that you can preview data here. So this is also possible. And the next thing is the custom API KPI. So let me go to Fury back, and then let me go to manage KPIs and reports. So this is a place where you can again define your own group. You can select KPI, you can define your own group, you can click on add group, you can copy this and create a copy of this, or you can go to KPIs and you can select any KPI and do the same there also. You could just select a KPI, select it, and you can just copy. What you can also do is you can go to reports and you can create generic drill down or even an analytical list page. That is also possible. So you could do all of that. So if I get into one of the reports, you would be able to see all the metadata related to the report here. You can so that you can decide upon how your drill down would look like or your analytical queries would look like. Oh yeah. Go back here so that yeah, now it's loaded. Yeah, so you will be able to see your metadata here for your reports. Similarly, you can drill down on your KPIs also to see your metadata before you go ahead and create your custom ones. So let me go back, and yeah, this is an overview of all the available key user extensibilities that are there on the S/4HANA on-premise systems. And you can, if you have any doubts, you can ask now.
Thanks, Prashant. Prashant, would you go to the slide 2 of your slide deck so that we'll have the index of the topics covered and the participants can raise questions on any of the topics which has been covered there.
Yeah, just a second. Okay, let me just stop sharing once and I'll join once again.
Okay. So in the meanwhile, yes, Prashant has explained various extension options, including the in-app extensions, including the CDS views, including the elements. So any of you are using any of them, you feel that what more can it be done, or would you want to share your experiences or ask a question on any of them? Feel free. Prashant is available now. Slide 2, Prashant.
Yeah, let me go back to slide 2. Yeah.
So on any of these topics or on the next slide, Prashant?
Yeah.
So on any of these topics. So any question? No, not yet, Prashant. Slide 1, 2 and 3. Yeah.
Just 2 and 3.
Prashant, there is a question from Hemant. This feature is available from which version onwards?
So
Hemant,
this,
yeah, carry on.
which version are you currently on, Hemant?
(1809).
Yeah, this is actually available from 1611 onwards. Yeah, S4HANA. Okay, this is for S4HANA Cloud. Yeah.
1611 is an on-premise, right?
This is cloud. Just a second. This is actually available from 1901. Abhijit, could you just answer that question?
Which one, Prashant?
The features from which release are these available?
Extensions are these extensions features which are covered here are available from which release?
From which specific release that I need to check, but these are there from last year itself.
Yeah.
No, is it from 1610? Because the customers in this group might be from 1610, 1709, 1809, or 1909. If we tell them from which release it is there, customers can map it directly.
Those details we need to check, Shiva.
Yeah,
because,
we can check and get back.
Because it cannot be released in one version, right? So they will be released in simultaneous versions.
So if it's a documentation at least or a blog in which yes, this is
Yeah,
covered as the evolution,
we will send
probably
some
we can
documentation.
Yeah,
we can share it.
We'll check and get back. Yeah.
And only for on-premise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Hemant, yes, as we mentioned, yes, we'll check from which version, or rather in 1809, probably a roadmap of the extensions, some URL, so that you can check for your 1809 what all capabilities are available, so that you can explore.
Yeah.
Any additional questions? Perfect.
Yeah.
If not, yes, we have covered the basics of the extensions topics. So last month we covered the integrations. This month we have covered the extension. So we hope with these two topics, you'll be able to leverage more of these capabilities. Prashant, would you want to continue?
Yeah,
Any
I would
closing
also.
remarks?
Yeah. Before closing, you can have a look at this graph and decide upon what kind of extensibility which you may want to pursue, whether be it in-app or side-by-side extensibility. So you can have a look at here. So if if your custom code is being used by external user group, then you might want to create a custom application and host on BTP. In that case, you could just consume the APIs and create a side-by-side application. Or if the custom application want to be consumed by a mobile device using native application features, then also you might want to create a side-by-side application. But if your scope is only on user extensibility, right, the in-app extensibility, then you can go with the existing examples which I gave. Also, if your APIs are available to be consumed, you can use both in-app and side-by-side. Either you can use the APIs, standard APIs, and consume it as CDS views, or you can use those APIs and create custom side-by-side applications. But if your custom functionality needs to be enhanced by a partner solution or something, then again, you will have to create it as a side-by-side application so that you could use it anywhere outside SAP, maybe as IoT application and then send data to S4 HANA. You can do that. Or if your custom code is executed before or after a standard process, that also goes as a side-by-side application. For example, if you have a custom approval or for your say your goods movement, if you want to have some kind of say gate entry application, you can create it as a side-by-side application. Also, if your custom code is executed between standard processes, then it goes as an in-app extensibility. That is some kind of a cloud body. So you can have a look at these this decision metric before you go ahead with any of your extensibility scenarios. And yeah, I have added all links here, what all that are helpful for the scenario. You can refer to this. And yeah, before closing, I will also return. I mean, I will also add the link for which release this has started to this slide so that you can refer to that while going through the PPT. Yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you. Over to you, Shiva.
Shiva, you are on mute.
Sorry. Thanks for joining the call. So we'll hope to see you next month with one more topic within S4HANA area, which is of relevance to you. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shiva Kumar, and thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you to everybody.
Thanks, everyone.